Good evening. Welcome to episode 87 of Combe TV, and it's that opportunity to catch up with our champs from 2024. We've got a mixed bag tonight. We've got a recorded one, we've got a no-show, but I'll fill you in all, and we got a late, but we'll fill you in and all that as we go. That's the joys of these racing drivers. They're like herding cats. I hope everybody is well. Welcome to the show. Mike Cotton, evening, mate. Good to see you straight in. Merry Christmas, everyone. And best wishes for a bumper 2025. 100% agree. We got a massive dates coming out already, and I genuinely can't wait. And hopefully we'll see you up there, Mike, as often as possible. Right, let's just catch up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to catch up with in a second with our saloon car champion, Harrison Chamberlain. We hopefully are going to then catch up with Jake Alden, the Hot Hatch champion. He's stuck in traffic at the moment. He's going to come in hot. So I'll give him enough time to get in. Hopefully he'll be all okay. We've got a recorded interview from Felix Fisher because we knew last week he wasn't able to make this. So I managed to catch up with him and I've recorded that. Don't hesitate with your comments, your questions. Get them all coming in. It will be great to catch up with you all. Doug Watson. He was going to be on this, and he's humbly apologetic to me and to everybody else that he couldn't make it. It would have been great to catch up with him, but he sold the Ferrari. The Ferrari has been sold, and in fact, he phoned me as he was, I can't remember whether he was getting on or off the Eurotunnel, and he's just delivered his Ferrari to the person that's bought it about an hour, I think he said, south of Paris. And they've bought it. They're going racing with it, everything. So it's a huge shame that he won't be with us tonight. Many people will say it's a huge shame as well that the beautiful yellow Ferrari is not going to be with us next year. However, he does make it very, very clear we will still be seeing him. He's going to be back. And there's been stories about, was it a 2 Series BMW with his lad as well? And so hopefully we're going to see him in more than one vehicle next year. He wasn't a huge fan of that Ferrari. I know I loved it, and many other people loved that yellow Ferrari, but he wasn't a huge fan of it. He didn't like it. He preferred his older one that had less gizmos, ironically. So there you go. In terms of how we did, just to make sure everybody remembers, because it was great to be able to reward him his efforts with the title at the awards night that I was very proud to host again. And so Doug Watson, he won Class A. He got, let me just remind myself, what did he get? So he got 8 wins, 1 DNF, and 3 did not starts. So 1 did not finish and 3 did not starts. Either he wasn't there or it was an issue after the DNF or whatever else. But incredible. What has he also got? 2 fastest laps as well. But the great thing was, those of you that are with us will know this, is that yet again, the Castle Combe Racing Club GT Championship, sponsored by Gulf Race Fuels, went all the way down to the final, not just the final meet, but the final race of that double header. And he won it by 1 point from Dylan Popovich. And well done to Dylan, got recognised with the Driver of the Year as well. And I mean, he picked up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fastest laps to Dylan Popovich. But a little bit more that he had to do. And he just missed out by that 1 point in that Ginetta with a beast of an engine in it. So awesome entertainment from those two. And Doug Watson, he had to defend like his life depended on it. I'm sure those at Tower in particular had a wonderful view of that defence when he was up there. So well done to Doug Watson. Congratulations on being the 2024 Gulf Race Fuels GT Championship for the Castle Combe Racing Club. Brilliant job. Emma Strawford, evening Emma, evening all from the Princess of Media and the TCR Guru. Evening, mate. Good to know that you're there as well. And keep up the great work, mate. Stuart Tinker-Taylor, good evening, Chris. Great to hear your voice again. Thank you, mate. And it's back again this time. I've done a couple of things recently and I lost my voice, the bug that's been going around. But I'm back. I'm strong. I'm all ready to go again. Hi to John Green, by the way. I see the light that's come in for that one as well. Much appreciated. Right, I tell you what, let's get our saloon car champion. And absolutely brilliant job, and he had a lot of issues that he had to really fight against to win this one. But that great golf, he's managed to do it. So I'm delighted to bring up next Harrison Chamberlain. Good evening, Harrison. Let me put this round.
Hello, 2 seconds. Let me just plug the laptop in because it's about to die.
Oh, no. Didn't think that. So we planned everything else. This is where you now know that it's definitely live. We planned everything else, did Harrison and I, but we forgot about the power.
Well, I forgot about the actual interview, and I forgot about the laptop as well. So haven't done very well so far.
You did fine, mate. You did fine. You're here. That's the way. I mean, let's not kid ourselves, Harrison. That little episode with the power of the laptop is that it sums up about the middle of the championship fight, where you had a number of issues to fight with, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we built the car last year, sort of midway through the season, and I think our first race was in June or July, and we built the whole car within 6 weeks. So it was a big challenge to get the car built within that time frame. The car was, we had some sort of niggly issues through the first year that we had it, and then we'd kind of just left it through the winter period before this season, and pretty much through the whole year, we had limp modes, we had gearboxes breaking. I remember being sat behind Adam because the car is still on a key. I remember being sat behind Adam multiple times, literally turning my car on and off to get it out of limp mode. But I think now, funnily enough, at the end of the season, we've now actually sorted it. So it was the turbo. So we had an issue with the turbo.
Oh.
Basically, the wastegate was just sticking wide open, basically sending the car. Obviously, it's quite a new car, so it's still got a lot of the factory sort of safety features. So it was basically tripping it into no power mode. But we've replaced the turbo now, and we've done a test day since then. And I think we did like 50 laps on the test day, and we didn't have a single limp mode issue.
Wow.
So yeah, the car's finally kind of in a place where it should actually work properly. But yeah, like every race just seemed to be issue after issue. It was never just a case of it was a nice easy day, the car just worked. It was always one thing after another. But yeah, I feel like now we've got this season out the way, the car's finally in a place where it's actually working, and it can do a 15-lap race at full power, etc. So yeah,
that's not what your competitors want to hear, really, is it? Because
no, probably not. But
tough. That's the main thing.
I'm not worried about them.
Out of interest, then, so great to see that it got rid of the issues and banging in 50 laps, all of that.
Yeah.
Was it any quicker, or was it just at this stage it was the case that it got
so we actually reduced the power as well with this turbo by about 130 horsepower, and granted we had the aero on this test day, but we actually went quicker with 130 horsepower less. So wow. Yeah, we're just over 400 horsepower, and we did a 1096, and that was that was every lap as well. It was 109s consistently.
I mean, it'd be interesting actually, because you and your dad's regularly at the circuit with you as well, isn't he?
Yeah. So yeah, dad's been there from the start.
Are you enjoying that sort of mechanical chasing and everything else? There's not much logic that says let's drop it by 100 odd horsepower and we'll be quicker, is there?
I mean, there's been times where you do your R&D, and it's a good laugh, and it's cool learning the car, but it was like every race, it was like oh Jesus Christ, this has gone wrong, this has gone wrong, this has gone wrong, and it was just getting to the point where if I'm honest, like the race weekends weren't even enjoyable, because
really
it was getting to the point where the car was just broken all the time. And it would be like a case of, we'd be up till 2 o'clock in the morning getting the car ready for the next race day because, something else has gone wrong. But, this is just what it's like with a new car. I mean, I think everyone forgets it's sort of such a fresh build still. You know, we joined halfway through the middle of obviously last season in this car. So for, you know, for its first season, you know, to have like obviously the success it did with all the issues it did, you know, it just makes me think what it can do if the car's running reliably, the car's consistent each lap. You know, I think it can be, you know, a very, very, very fast car.
It certainly looks it. It really does. I mean, I got the impression that there was going to be a playing around with the aero on off different levels, but that pretty much got abandoned because of the issues that you were having to chase during this season.
Yeah, so the thing is, we've never had a chance to, you know, develop the suspension, or, you know, we've never had a chance to really play around with different seps because we've been chasing all these, you know, gearbox issues or limp mode issues. So, you know, that's had to take a real sort of back step. But we did some suspension tweaks on the last test day, and the car just, you know, came alive. It was so fast. And, you know, this was like quite a cold day. It was like 6 or 7 degrees this day. This was in October.
Oh, wow.
So, and this was on, I think, 3 race old AO52s. So it was literally banging in sort of 109s each lap on this test day. So obviously, granted, it's got the aero on. But I think now that we've got the consistency with the car. So before, the main issue we were having was it would be fast for 1 lap. The turbo would then, the wastegate would start, you know, getting weaker as the lap went on. So like 1 lap I could be like really fast. The next lap the car wouldn't be so fast. So it was really difficult, you know, to get into like a driving style where you're feeling like the car's good each lap, and it's really hard to build consistency with it. Where now the car's really consistent power wise. You know, we can really focus on like the braking zones, the cornering, the setup of the car, so many different aspects. You know, and I think we're kind of just at the beginning of the development of the suspension of this car. So I think the car is only going to go and get quicker as time goes on. But obviously that's, you know, that's a testament to the chassis on the car, obviously being a much newer car. There's so much adjustability with everything. Yeah, and all these modern technologies. It's yeah, it's, the Golf's just a good package all round.
It definitely looks it. It really does. Quickly catching up with the comments.
Yeah.
Our very own Cat Delocco says, evening all, evening our cat.
Right, Cat. He's not very happy with me. I still haven't picked my trophy up yet.
I can't believe that, man. That's mad.
I know.
Matt Coyle, of course, your coordinator. Hope you're well, mate. Well done, Harrison. I'm in for new fuel lines on Friday, getting ready for 2025. Nice one. And Bill Brockbank, evening, guys. He got a belter of a final race, didn't he?
Yeah, no, that was a real good race, a real good race. Once again, I was having sort of those little issues, and yeah, Bill was just real fast on that last race. I mean, that car just, it's ridiculous how that thing gets off the line. Like you think you get a good launch, and you think, oh, I finally got Bill here. And it's that like second stage where he goes into second gear, and it just absolutely, you know, just takes off. It's ridiculous. So,
because I'm pretty sure even in the commentary, I always sort of like, we know we're going to get a belter of a start from him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, he hasn't. So it's a great from everyone else basically. And I went, yes, he has. Ignore that. He's got a belter.
Yeah.
He's there, and he defended like his life. So well done, Badger. We love that one. That was awesome. It was brilliant. So Harrison, I mean, I'm going to come on to you in a moment, but because since we're talking about the car, let me just sort of complete that journey. So you're mentioning about it being a relatively new car. Tell us about that car. Just how new is it, and what is it?
So it's a 2016 Golf GTI. So I bought it last February with absolutely zero intention of turning it into a race car.
Really?
Yeah, literally zero, because I still had the grey Megane back then.
Yeah.
And we were building the grey Megane. Literally had zero intention of turning it into a race car. And I was in McDonald's drive-through with Jordan, who runs my car for me. And we just basically joked and said, how good would this be as a race car? And then fast forward 6 weeks on from there, went straight into his workshop, fully stripped, caged, and then it was racing 6 weeks later, and got his first win. But in terms of like car, it's just a Golf GTI performance pack. Nothing too special. 230 horsepower from standard. Yeah, nothing really like that. Nothing really that fancy about it. Really, it's just the general sort of chassis and that year of cars, just very well set up.
Did you know that beforehand?
Yeah, so I bought this car on the basis I was going to have it as kind of like a daily car, but I could still do the odd track day.
Yep.
So I'd like drive to the track, drive it back, all that type of stuff. So I kind of knew that they were good cars already. And there was a few companies that were doing a few different bits with them, and they were going really, really well. They were really fast. And we took it on a track day actually in standard form. It just had a set of tires on it, completely standard springs. I think it did like a 17 or 18, just in literally no tune. Actually, no, sorry, it had a tune. It was like 270, 280 horsepower. And it did like a 17 or 18 just on a set of tires, which, still had the spare wheel in the back, still had everything in the back. So that's when I kind of knew like this would be, a fast race car.
You couldn't resist them once you knew that, could you?
No, exactly. And the thing is, the Megane, as good as the Meganes are, I mean, I've gone like 4 seconds quicker in this Golf with 50 less horsepower than that Megane had, which I think just shows, maybe it's not the driver, it's just the car. Maybe I just couldn't drive the Megane properly. But yeah, just shows that sort of leap from sort of previous generation cars, to what we're driving now, I guess.
Well, let me sort of transition seamlessly into there for you. And before I get into real history on you, do I get the impression, therefore, that you are mechanically minded?
No, I'm definitely
really?
not. No, I think I can maybe talk a good game, but as soon as it comes to any mechanical work, I just leave that to everyone else.
Okay.
I can just about take a wheel off, and that's about where I call it a day, really.
So who does all the magic on it then?
So it's the lads at H Sports. So Jordan's the main tech there, and also last season we had Marcus from RD Motorworks. So those lads have been fantastic. They've done all the hours under the sun to get that car fixed, get it ready, fit different parts. And the thing is, I'm a fussy git as well. So as soon as something I don't like, I just don't leave them alone. So like we had a vibration that just came out of nowhere from the car, and I thought it was something to do with the gearbox. So I made them take the gearbox out the night before the race, put it all back together, and it was still the same. So I think we've basically put it down to one of the engine mount bolts wasn't tight enough. So now we've tightened it up. It's now obviously resonating through the cabin a bit more. But yeah, so Jordan, Marcus, H Sport and RD Motorworks, they're the ones that have basically, kept the car rolling over the last sort of year and a half, really.
Fair dues.
Yeah.
No, I
yeah,
mean,
really
and
good
it's always good to know, just because it seems like you, and I'm going to use the royal you now. I know it's not just just have been enjoying the playing around with the car as much, and I love watching that. I love the engineering and the mechanical chases that go on, and it's really impressive. Quickly before we proceed, just catching up with people. Ben Hayward, hello, good evening, Ben. Good to see you making your debut this year, mate. From spectator bank to circuit, that was brilliant to see. And Passar, as I call it, perfect acceleration sim racing, even in all. Good evening, mate. Good to catch up with you. I do some comms for their stuff. Right, back to you, Harrison. So, couple of quick fire questions.
Yep.
Tell everybody how old you are.
I am. Jesus Christ, that's true.
I know
24 now. 24,
24.
24. I'll be 25 in February.
The bad news is I'm double that, and I still have to give I have to think for a little while. How old am I? I can't remember. What do you do?
So I do car sales. So I run a car sales business. So basically buying and selling performance cars.
Okay.
Yeah, so nothing too fancy, but yeah, mainly just all performance stuff. Anywhere from sort of like your Hyundai performance to Volkswagen performance, couple M2s, anything performance related, really.
Like it. Has that been what you've always been involved?
No, so start of my working career, I used to be a footballer for Bristol Rovers for a period of time.
See, I suddenly like you a little bit more now as a guest.
So yeah, I had a contract with Bristol Rovers until I was 19. Unfortunately, just didn't work out, wasn't good enough. And then went into mobile sort of detail. Always liked my cars anyway. So started a mobile detailing company. So this was kind of just before COVID, 2019. Went into COVID, did quite well with that. Sort of started buying and selling my first sort of couple cars during COVID. And then, I knew I was always going to turn it into a business eventually. And then, it's now turned into what it is now. I think in the last year we've done about 70 cars. So, it's grown into a nice, manageable, enjoyable business, really.
Before I ask my next question, Jordan Hembry says you almost brought a tear to my eye, Harrison. So that's presumably the Jordan.
Because he knows I'm horrible to him in person. That's why I wouldn't ever say it to his face.
Hey, in fairness, you did say that you're a nightmare, so that's fine. It's all good. It's all good. So now you're into racing. Mm-hmm. What's your aspirations?
It's one of those careers that you obviously want to go really far in. But I'm sure it's the same with everyone that gets into racing. It's all about budget. Just running this Golf has been, silly money. But I have actually bought a Honda Civic now. So whether I'm going to do it this coming year or it'll be the year after, I'm looking at doing Civic Cup.
The support just make PCR, doesn't it? That.
Yeah, that's it. So I did a test last year with Paralloys. Really enjoyed it. So I thought, that's what I'm going to look at doing because it's, it's the next sort of logical step to, progressing my motorsport career. Yeah. So I've got a Civic at the moment, which is, sort of getting built in the background, getting a few bits done to it. But whether I'm going to do that next year or if I'm going to do it for 26, I haven't decided yet. Just because of the way the business is going and, reinvesting back into the business, all that type of stuff. But it might be a case I do some hot hatch rounds with it. I don't know yet.
That'd be cool.
I don't know. But yeah, I think
we're not going to lose you from the Saloon Car Championship, though.
I don't know yet because all the regs have changed. Everything's changing. So it might be going in the GT Championship just because, you're going to be allowed aero and stuff in the Saloon. But the way the aero's set up on the Golf at the moment, it won't work in the Saloon Championship. And, that aero kit's not a cheap kit. And I don't want to start hacking it up to make it work for the Saloon Championship. So it might be a case of, I do a couple GT rounds.
That'll be interesting.
I think with a set of slicks, I think it will be, pretty fast. I think, TCR cars, they're doing 107s round Combe. It's doing 109s on semi slicks, this car. So I don't feel like with a set of slicks, it will be, I don't think it'll be as fast, but I don't think it'll be a million miles away. So yeah, there's lots of things up in the air. Yeah, I haven't made a final decision, but I need to get around to doing it soon because I know how quick the race season actually does come up. Before I know it, it'll be testing.
Well, and before that, because that does enable me. In fact, Kat's already chased me. Sorry, Kat. I know she's there, and she has also responded to Mike Cotton about the 2025 season. Saying, Mike Cotton, it'll be great. Thank you for all your support, and I agree, Mike Cotton, you are a legend. And she has reminded me is that the media days, the first thing that happens on 5th of April. And she made a comment about the fact that members' prices for track time has been kept exactly the same. Members can start booking that via RevUp from the 6th of January, and we'll be there live from that, I believe, as well, hopefully, with Combe TV to sort of catch up with people. So I always laugh, and when I talk about that is that, so what's that? What did I say? It was 6th of April. That means people will start working on their cars 1st of April, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, that's normally what we do.
Leave it to the end.
Yeah, probably be the 5th for us.
Yeah.
Realise, the gearbox got to come back out again and it'll be out on the 5th.
Do you hear
Sounds
that,
about right.
Jordan? The gearbox
Yeah,
is coming out, mate.
yeah. You still need. You told me you do that 3 or 4 weeks ago. You still haven't done it. Yeah,
I
useless.
feel like there's pressure being put on. Hang on, I'm just quickly checking this. Hang on. Bill Brockbank says if the saloon regs are sorted well as suggested, the aero should be Motorsport UK standard. Looking forward to the regs being released to us. Also, plans for 2025 can be made, which I believe is by the end of this week. I believe.
Yes, that's what they've said.
Yeah, I don't get involved because I don't understand them. You guys do. I don't. I just get excited about the racing. You know me, Harrison. I'm just a race fan in the commentary box.
Yeah,
and that's my big one. I just look forward to seeing that, especially what you're saying about the little issues being resolved. It's going to be super exciting to see. And I almost feel that no matter what, you're going to feel that you want to see what that's capable of now.
Yeah, I think now because we had such a good end of the year, like testing the car. You kind of want to. It makes you think, where will it finish? How will it perform in a race if it's doing 15 laps in the the 109s, low 110s?
Yeah.
Because I know me and Adam had a race mid this year. I think it was the May one where I set. So basically, I set the lap record in that race with the 109.7 without the aero.
Right.
And I looked back through the TSL timing, and me and Adam were doing like low 110s each lap. And I don't think there's ever been a saloon car race. I know there's not as many cars in there as we want to be, but I don't think there's ever been a saloon car race where there's been 2 cars going that fast each lap. I can just remember that race, how physical it was as well, because doing like low 110s, I think we dropped into the 111s like once that whole race.
Yeah, because normally you guys kind of knock them down a notch or two towards the
yeah. So unfortunately on my car I haven't got any adjustable power. It's kind of just.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, it just is what it is. I know Adam can adjust his.
Yeah.
And I remember that race. Adam was telling me the whole race he was on the boost button the whole race. And that was a real good race because like I said, I don't think there's ever been 2 saloon cars. I don't think anywhere in the UK that are as fast as that and have done that many consecutive quick laps. I mean, it was ridiculous that day. And Adam's car is just ballistic. It's just so fast. I mean,
the Class A's have been getting bonkers for a few years now, haven't they? And it's got to reach its plateau at some point. But then I think we're
kind of getting there now. I think we're touching GT times on road tires, which is just and these are cars that have been racing with no aero. It's just the basic shell of the car. And we're touching on the door of GT times. Only like a second or 2 off, which is just mental for essentially saloon cars with road tires. But I think we're kind of at that point now where you're not going to go any quicker unless you do some real aero upgrades. You go to those real stickier tires, but then with all that comes more reliability issues, more stress on the suspension. So it's catch-22 really.
And that's where it's not very often the Class A's win the outright championship, is it? Because they are very temperamental.
Exactly. So that's one thing we've been fortunate with this year is I think we had 1 DNF.
Yes, round 6.
Round 6, and that was a catastrophic.
Which you did still get the fastest lap point for that, by the way.
I did, yeah. So that race, that was an interesting race. So the gearbox was playing up in the first race, and we managed to win the first race of that day. The second race, I then only had something happen to the gearbox. It went bang, and I only had 3rd and 5th gear left.
Jeez.
So I was racing with 3rd and 5th. So you can imagine what it's like. In 3rd, you've got loads of power. You shift to 5th, it really bogs down. And the way the gearbox is set up on that car, it doesn't like going into 3rd. That car, it's just too short of a gear. So I stay in 4th most of the time. And I literally remember I was, driving it as hard as I could with 2 gears left. And on the last lap, I grabbed 5th, and the whole gearbox just shattered into a million pieces.
Oh.
That would have been a real good win, that one, because it was like, the odds were really stacked against it. But you got to take the good with the bad, I guess. But yeah, like I was saying, we were lucky with our reliability issues, where most of the time, even though we were having issues through the race, the car still finished. So, it wasn't a case of the issues were, putting us out the points. So in that respect, we were sort of very lucky with the issues that we did have, and we weren't munching through a gearbox, every race and having catastrophic failure. Like I know Adam suffers with his gearbox a lot. So, the limp mode issues, yeah, they're very annoying, but, we can still finish the race with those.
Yeah. I mean, and it is with the, Dave Spiller in the TT, that gets, issues with that as well. It's like, it is the Class A cars are amazing, but they're very precious half the time, which is a real shame. A bit sort of boom bust. Listen, Harrison, I cannot thank you enough for coming on. Congratulations on being the 2024 Castle Combe Racing Club Saloon Champion. I mean, does that sound good? The Castle Combe Racing Club
Saloon
it does.
Champion. Sounds real good.
Now make sure you go and get the trophy as well. Pick that up.
Yeah, I know. I need to. Kat will be on my case, I think.
She will. She already told me that you wouldn't have it on the camera already. Jake Ward. Oh, evening, Jake. Good to hear from you, mate. He says, really interesting. Well done, Harrison. And genuinely, that's the consensus. And it's a great opportunity because when you're helmeted up, you're in the race, nobody gets to see the real you. So well done for coming on tonight, mate. I think it's great.
Yeah, much appreciated.
To see the real you. And I can't wait to see what this golf's going to be like next year.
Yeah, it should be good. Looking forward to it.
6th of April, Media Day. We'll hopefully see you out on the circuit.
Yeah, make sure you get that gearbox out, Jordan.
Yeah. I feel like I'm as bad at stirring now as you, to be honest with you. This one.
Right. I'll text him after this. I'll say, get your act together.
Absolutely, absolutely. Harrison Chamberlain, congratulations, mate.
Perfect. Cheers, Chris.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Absolutely brilliant to catch up with Harrison. Thank you so much for coming on, mate. And this is why I love this show, and this is the fan from the spectator bank, because we don't get to see the personalities, we don't get to find out about them, and this is what I tried to do with Combe TV. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to bring back on, obviously, another one of our champions, and I will do a live one now rather than the recording of Felix. I'll finish with the Felix one, which is a great interview, by the way, so stick around for that one. But this one is a young man that came along, I'm going to say a couple of years ago. Is that right, Jake? I can see him at the bottom there. Put a thumbs up if I'm right with a couple of years. Yeah, that's right. And I knew that he was going to be good. And him and his dad are just the nicest characters around the paddock. And it's great to see him there. But not many people will know what his personality, what his history, what all of those things. But first things first, we're going to find out just what it means to become the 2024 Hot Hatch champion. It's Jake Alden. Let me switch it around. You got to have the Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very good. I'm loving the pictures in the background, mate.
I know. I thought that's why I'd do it. Because you see all the future race, present, past. That's the one, past.
Where's the trophy?
Oh,
here
it is.
Congratulations, mate. Absolutely wicked. And I think it's right for me to say that this means an immense amount to both you and your dad. Is that fair to say?
I think more my dad. I think it's nice to him to see that after all these years of bad, and the first year was probably our best season, and obviously the years after that's just been, I think everyone knows in the paddock what it's been like. So I think it's nice to actually have a year where it's actually worked out right.
That's motor racing though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You get loads of ups and loads of downs.
Absolutely. I mean, let me just make sure I've got this worked out. Where have my notes gone? Hang on. Right. So you managed 11 wins and 1 second from 12 races. Last year, you came runner-up in Class C. You secured Class C, but most importantly, you won the overall on 111 points after the drops. But you had to keep your nerve, young man, didn't you? Because that was only
I
by
did.
4 points at the end.
I know, I did. Yeah, I got told not
How
to
did
do
that
any.
feel?
It was all right really, because I'm quite good at keeping my head level. So I thought, I'd keep my head level and just don't do anything silly that I don't need to do. So I, did that, and it's paid out massively. So
But presumably that's both from the perspective of not making any rash moves, but also looking after the car to some extent as well.
yeah, exactly. Well, having a reliable car compared to the last 2 years is really nice to have a reliable car, and you can actually race and obviously not, get into any trouble with all the other people on track. So I've been probably the best season for sure, massively.
I just love it, and I know that it means a lot. I'm going to bring this up actually. Tim Fuchs Bale says, "Well done, Jake. Very well deserved. You're a legend, but isn't it past your bedtime?" Now I'm going to bring this up because how old are you, mate?
24.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to say is you are a bit older than you probably look.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad thing.
No, exactly. I'm saying that with pure envy, mate. And all I'm saying is that it was a tough paper round for me, all right? But I want to go backwards for a little bit because am I right in remembering you used to do two-wheel motorsport before?
I used to do mini motor racing back when I was I think it was about 10. So yeah, that was going around with dad and mum in a caravan with the mini motors in the back of the van, racing all around these tracks. So that was
And
probably good as well.
as in the ones that go around the kart tracks or the motocross stuff?
The ones that go around the go-kart tracks, they're quite pretty small, to be fair.
Mm.
Which is, some of them are outdoor, some of them are indoor. So
Yeah, I know a few people that have done that as a starting thing that have made it all the way up to BSB and things like that. So
yeah, because a lot of the people I used to race with are in the BSB. Like, you probably know Charlie Nesbitt.
yeah,
I used to race with him.
it's amazing.
And there's some other names as well that you've probably seen as well that I know of, that race with as well. So if I did carry it on, then who knows, I could have been there, but we all know.
What happened with that? Just fell out of love with it?
I kept breaking bones.
Actually, apologies, I did know that one. Yeah, I mean, because it's
Yeah.
it's a slightly different gravy, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, because obviously, first time I crashed, I obviously fell and my hands went like that and hit the ground, and then I broke my right arm. And then 6 weeks later, back out on the bike, same track, same corner. Dad said, "Where should you crash? Do that." So I did
Yeah.
that. I broke both of them.
Oh no.
So
Was there a gap between two-wheel and entering into four-wheel?
I'd say, yeah, there was quite a bit of a big gap. I did a little bit of go-karting, but nothing like no competitions or anything. Then ever since I turned 17, I passed my test, and I wanted to go like fast in a car. So obviously I've got that motor energy in me. So passed my test. And Dad was like, "All right, we'll get a track car." We got a little track car, and I was like, "Yeah, this is fun." So we went out on the track, and we went to one of the race days, and I went, "I want to do that."
Really?
And now obviously here we are.
I love that. So the bug got you well and truly.
Yeah.
Have you had much in the way of any coaching from anyone or anything like that on the four-wheel stuff?
No, only my team. Obviously, Will DeCordio. He's been
Yeah.
around for donkey's years.
And
Sorry,
he's a
Will.
past champion as
I
well.
know.
So yeah, no, fair play. I know he just prepares the cars these days, but I still think he'd have it if he was out on circuit as well, to be
Yeah.
fair. Which I know he dabbled a few times with, but he had bad luck, didn't he, this year, which is a shame. This year, then, looking at this, so I'm just looking at your, so what we got? So you started off with a bang, 2 wins, 2 fastest laps. Then it was a second and a win. Ironically, you got the fastest lap in the second place that you came in that one, not
Yeah, I
the
think
race.
because it was wet that race, and I was on
Oh,
dry tires, and it got really wet.
got you.
So yeah, it was one of them.
Yeah, and Scott Hughes got you on the fastest lap for that one that you did beat him, but he got the fastest lap.
Yeah.
And then it just literally from there on, that was it. You were like, I've had enough of playing now. I'm going race win every time, fastest lap every time. And that might mean that people think you had it easy. It really wasn't, both interclass and battles with other people outside of your class as well.
Yeah, it's nice with the hot hatch because Class C, you think, right, they should be at the bottom, but I'm actually battling with Class A cars, Class B cars, and it's like a nice mix, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But obviously with that again, you need to stay out of trouble because you don't want to get banged and big dents in your car or taken out or anything. So it's been like really nice to actually, because I was in the saloons before.
Yep.
And I didn't really. It was a good starting point, but I didn't really like. You would know where you were going to be just basically at the start of the race because they
Right.
would all go off, and then I'd just be like, "Yeah, Miss Daisy driving around." So this was like the hot hatch. Now you actually got to work for it. So
Which is good. So in other words, what we're saying then is that as this year has gone on, your racecraft has been fine-tuned even more.
yeah, Dad said that as well. He said, "I seen you do that move on the GoPro. You wouldn't have done that if that was you 2 years ago." I went, "I know exactly."
Wow.
It's literally me.
I mean, on that note, and I was going to say I don't mean to put you under pressure, but you know I actually do, so I'm not going to finish that sentence. That championship win, the racecraft being fine-tuned, surely you're going to go again.
Maybe. I want to try different tracks. I want to explore and see how well the car can really go. Don't get me wrong, Castle Combe's a great track, but I just want to try maybe like Alden.
Yes.
Really want to do Knock Hill as well. That's probably one of my favorite tracks, but I think it's a little bit too far.
That's quite a jaunt. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
let's not kid ourselves. Alton is as well, but I get that. And don't get me wrong, is that I'm a motor racing fan first and foremost, and so it's like I want to know that you're still going to keep going with racing in one form or another. And it's not that I've got a championship, I'm done. It's like, no, I want to go and try and do some more.
Yeah, exactly. With the
Same car?
funding as well, it's harder. Yeah, same car.
Cool.
I don't think I'll
Because
ever get rid of that car.
yeah, because what was the history? Who had that before? I'm trying to remember.
So 2019, it was Good Friday, which was my birthday. I turned 19. And then Saturday, Sunday was obviously the normal. And then Bank Holiday Monday was my first ever race with Nathan and
Yeah,
John.
yeah.
That's when I was hiring the car in 2019. And then I brought the car off them because it was like, I like this car. I know everything about it. Well, not everything, but it's to me. So I thought, let's buy the car. And now blown engines. We've got a nice engine now. So she's still there.
Joys of racing, joys of racing.
Yeah.
Just quickly put up Chris Mason, Medic Mason. Evening, mate. Evening all. Dawesy. Joshy says hello. Hi, Joshy. Hope you're well, young man. Good to hear from Medic Mason. I mean, what was your highlight of 2024 then? And I'm going to actually go the other way. What was your highlight and what was, I don't want to say low light, but maybe the most challenging part of this year?
Definitely the challenging when it was wet and we were sat on the grid for it felt like a lifetime. But I think it was only about 20 minutes. We were sat on the grid, it was getting wetter and wetter, and I was just sat there, I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And you just sat there, you just don't know what's going on because you're in your own little bubble and
Yeah.
everyone knows what's going on around you on the pit wall, but everyone on the grid just like, right, what's going on? We're all looking at each other like.
Because there's no radios, is there? Just for people that don't realise that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's no radio, so we just sit there, we're just getting a bit bored in the car, like, and it's raining. And I'm just like, I've never really raced in the wet. So that was a bit like, that was probably like my nerve wracking low, I would say. But I think that definitely of the high, it's got to be the awards evening. Everyone around me that has helped me and picking up the trophy, I think that's when it sunk in.
Really? I know,
Yeah.
and I get that, thinking back to it, because no, I absolutely love hosting those things and sort of calling all the champs up and everything. And yeah, I mean, there was a tear in your dad's eye for definite, wasn't there? And the team was so supportive of you and everything, and it was raucous, wasn't it? It was brilliant.
Yeah, it's nice to see that me and Dad can actually do something together, which is nice because I know a lot of people don't really get that, do they? Which is nice to have a father and son bond like that.
And they sort of say that it's a lot harder in motorsport these days to have that dad and lad or daughter and whoever, because obviously making sure that we're not just saying that way, but it is that whole parent and child going off and doing this thing, it's a lot harder to do these days. And so for you guys to be able to go and do that is a wicked thing.
Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice as well. It's memories as well. And Dad loves racing. He's always loved it. So it's nice that we can enjoy something together, even though we do bicker and all that. And at the racing, no, you do this. No, I'm doing that, and do it properly. And yeah,
that goes without saying, mate. That goes without saying. And because remind me geographically, where are you guys?
We're based in Yate.
I should know that because, of course, I grew up in Yate. That's where my roots as well. I can't believe I even had to ask that. I forgot completely. So, I mean, there lies my whole point. I grew up in Yate, and what's that? 20 minutes to get
25 minutes, from Castle.
And that's where I fell in love with racing. That's why everyone knows is Cut Me in Half and I Bleed Castle Combe. I live in Swindon, so I'm only 35 minutes the other way, so still it's that home thing, and it's having that on your doorstep is what gets you hooked, isn't it?
Yeah, to be fair, I'd actually never really knew how close it was until we went up, and it was like, oh, it's only 20 minutes, let's go again next weekend. Then weekend after we just kept going up. No matter what was on, we went up. So that's how I also fell in love with it. And I went out in one of those old school minis, the Mighty Miglia. I went out in one of them in a passenger seat. And that was that hit me then. I was like, I want one and I want to do it now.
Wow. No, and I like that. There's a lot of synergy because it was me and my dad going up there and watching racing, and it's about the day out together, the racing, the smell, the sounds, the atmosphere and all of that. And I love this story that's someone that's been in that same situation as me and is now a champion. And I think that's the emotional journey that people, I think, will really appreciate from yourself, as do you and your old man.
Yeah, it's definitely really nice that we can do something like that. Like now, I don't really see him anymore because he's working and I just got home from work. So that's why we do stuff like that on the weekend together.
Yeah, and obviously that was made worse by the motorway close, so I'm glad you got back, mate. So good news.
I left at 2:15 earlier.
God, that's
7:15.
What do you do?
I'm a plumbing and heating engineer.
Cool. Yeah, that's wicked.
Yeah.
Jake Stevens says, Alden, my hero.
That's a boy from work.
I couldn't resist it. I had to put it up anyway. It's all good fun. Listen, Jake, massive congratulations. Ben Hayward's actually said, Combe on the doorstep is such a treat. Very lucky to be in this part of the world. And I agree. I think that is a big thing. And that's why I think, Jake, that the spectator banks are full all the time, because it's such a spirit. Spectator banks, Marshall's Post, Paddock.
It's colourful, yeah. And it's nice when it's a nice day as well. It's like a nice day out as well. There's food and everyone to chat to. And it's just, to be fair, when it's hot, it's like a really nice time to be there.
Agreed. No, I agree. Louis Dunn, I think, says, no way. Jake Alden, congratulations, mate. Let me guess, another workmate?
Yeah.
Yeah. Giving you grief, mate. Well, you can't give him grief because this boy is champion and you can't take that away from him. Jake Alden, 2024 Castle Combe Racing Club Hot Hatch Champion. That won't get old, I hope, mate, because it just is wicked.
Yeah, it's quite nice to say. And the first Hot Hatch champion as well, which is,
Yeah, of course, because it was a series up until now, wasn't it? So,
don't forget that part. It's the first.
Yeah, agreed. I had sort of forgotten because, obviously we've been covering it for a while, but it is the first time it's a champion. Jake Alden, I can't wait to see what you're going to do next, and hopefully I should be on the mic for a lot of that, wherever it happens to be. Don't forget Castle Combe, whatever you do, mate, you've got to come back and race here. But congratulations on your 2024 championship.
Thank you, Chris. Cheers, mate.
I'm going to still stir this one up because he's watching anyway in the background. Jake Stevens says, Hot Hatch champion, also a hot guy. There you go, Jake Alden. He's in the green room, so I know he can see that. Jay's, well done, Jake. You make me proud every time you get on that track. So there you go. And I agree, absolutely wicked. And I just love, it's another story of it's one of our own that has managed to secure a championship. And that's what that Combe bond, that's what gets me. I get to commentate all over UK and Europe, but Combe is home for me. It means a lot, and everybody knows that it's legit. I absolutely adore the place. Right, I also managed the final champion, because obviously I say Doug wasn't here, and we've already gone through what he's achieved, and he sold that Ferrari. But there's one champion we haven't heard from yet, and it's the Formula Ford champion, and we couldn't catch up with him in person because he was always going to be busy tonight, sadly. So I did manage to catch up with him in a video, and I'm going to play that video now so that we can hear that interview in full. And it's that age-old thing, quickly just to say, Harry Woodruff, well done, Jake, with lots of kisses to you, mate. I can see him hating this in the background. I'm still going to do it, Jake. He's shaking his head in the background. But let's go with our Castle Combe Racing Club Formula Ford 2024 champion. It is Felix Fisher. Up with our three-time Castle Combe Racing Club Formula Ford champion, Felix Fisher. Obviously, sadly, you couldn't make the live show, mate, but you were kind enough to enable us to catch up with you to grab a few words. First comment, Felix Fisher. Congratulations, mate. You did it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've done it, three years in a row. And yeah, what a difficult season it was, but we still managed to do it again. So yeah, great stuff.
And that's the big one, isn't it? It's not just a three-time champion, which is a big enough deal in itself. Let's not kid ourselves, but it is that 3 times in the bounce. And it's not like, I mean, especially you take this year, 2024, you sure as hell were not gifted anything this year, were you? It was a brutal year.
Yeah, I think that is the word, really. It was brutal, really, from start to finish. Lots and lots of competition, not, hardly anything between us at all. And it really, I must admit, I've said that the first championship year was obviously great and got that monkey off the shoulder, and kind of it was that kind of relief in a way. But I'd probably hold this one as probably the greatest achievement, down to the sheer competition that we had at Combe this year.
Yeah, and I get that, because I do remember I've been very lucky to sort of almost be on this journey with you as the commentator.
Yeah.
And I remember that exact phrase, monkey off the back. It genuinely was, wasn't it? Because you'd been so close so many times and had bad luck robbing you of it. You got the monkey off the back. The second one was really cool, but the hat trick, and I mean, if I look at the stats, and I'm looking at my monitor now, you got one victory, but it was all about that consistency, wasn't it?
Yeah. You look back at it, and it was a long championship. It was an extra double header thrown in, so it's 14 races, and that's a lot. That's a lot of races to kind of think, right, we got to, I know drop scores come into account and things, but when you're racing that tightly with them, you still got to do the job and get to a position where, when those drops come in, you're still going to be at the top. So it was a big mental game, really, of as well as going racing, knowing what you had to do at that specific point, who you were racing against, and where they were, and yeah, I must admit it was a busy year, at the steering wheel, and also in your head, because thinking, how are we gonna, overturn this? And yeah, it was, it took the most out of me this year. I'm not gonna lie, this year was the one that, when I come across the line, I was relieved, and we'd done it, and I was happy, and I thought, Christ.
Yeah, I'd have loved to have had a mic on you as you crossed the line, because I can almost imagine the emotion that was released at that point, because it was, I mean, if I look through this, so what have we got? We got second, third, second, fourth, second, third, second, first in August, second, third, fourth. I mean, it was amazing. That consistency, is cannot be underestimated. With the level of competition that you were up against, was a huge deal. I also spotted something else just before I started this interview with you. Not a single fastest lap point. So it's all about the racecraft. And for me, I'm there going, that must be even more rewarding.
And that was the hard thing, because obviously you get an extra point for fastest lap.
Yep.
But when, like, you know, at Combe, when sometimes it can be the guy that's third or fourth that will get the fastest lap because they're getting the slipstream, you know, they're chasing the pack, and at some point during the race they'll pop a quick one in. But effectively, you know, I lost, I think, any fastest laps, and that's 14 points over a season.
Yeah.
Now, even if I got half of them and you had 7 in your pocket, that would have been a relief and would have took some of the pressure off. But by always being in the thick of it, it didn't allow me to achieve those. So it was all those second places, which is funny to say, you know, but all those second place finishes is what won the championship, if I'm honest. By you know,
you can't go boom bust, can you? Because that doesn't help you.
It got to a point, you know, I know Josh come in for the first couple of rounds, and when I was behind him, it was kind of, I know he's not doing the full year, so if do I go for it and lose out, or do I sit behind and do the safe thing? And there was a bit of that going on throughout the year, but then there was a point where I was 7 points behind, I think, in the championship, and I was third at one point, and it got to the middle of the season. I just really thought, I've got to pull my finger out now, because otherwise it's going to slip. But then by banging in a string of like 4 second place finishes and then getting a win, and all of a sudden we were back at the top again with 3-4 rounds to go, and you think, oh God, now it's mine to lose again. So you know, and it was really, you know, it was stressful.
But I get the impression, and especially with Formula Ford drivers, many a post-race interview is that I've even interviewed people that have finished second or third, and they'll go, that's been my favorite race, because you guys love to race. And I think it's a given. That's why you're in the Formula Fords, because that's what they are by nature, is they're back and forth, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you crikey, it's there's not many other formulas that you can race that close, and kind of, you know, with the variations of cars that there are, but obviously you've still got the same engine, the same gearbox, and same brakes as such. So it always makes it very, very close and very rewarding when you do get the result, because, you know, it's kind of, it's man and machine, isn't it? You know, but yeah, it's, you know, it is a great formula. I think that's why it's lasted so long. It's going. I think motorsport's been hard for many areas and series and things, because of the way of the world and the cost of things and everything. So some have fallen short, and Formula Ford still managed to kind of keep its head above and keep going. So
get good numbers. It is still good numbers, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's, like you say, that's why you know, us as drivers, that's why we're still involved, because it's what we enjoy doing.
Yeah, and speaking from a spectator, fan, and commentator, absolutely adore it. It's just always thoroughly entertaining, without question. You know it's going to be. It's like there's never a dull race. I mean, there is no such thing in Formula Ford, is there?
No. When you when you're putting your helmet on, you know you're in for 10 brutal laps of, you know, of something, but you got to figure it out when you're out there, I think, really. So
it's very, very, very true. I mean, for those who haven't tried it, I recommend it very strongly. At Castle Combe, you can go to the Castle Combe Racing School, and you actually get to go in a Formula Ford if you're on the single seater or the extreme package. And I've been very lucky to be able to get out in a Formula Ford a couple of times. There's not a lot of space, point one, I will say. Granted, you'll turn around and say, I'll fill it quite easily. I know that with height and girth, but there just isn't an awful lot of space in there. But you're at one with the car, and yet I had an experience. I came out of, it was that horrible drizzly rain, which I know drivers hate. It's either dry or soaking wet, they're fine, but it was drizzly. And I came out of or through Old Paddock, and then suddenly, silently, just lost it to the infield. And I was like, I was not a lead foot or anything. It is easy to throw these things at the circuit furniture, and yet you guys just absolutely dance round each other and the corners. And I think you almost need to jump into one of these to appreciate just what you guys do in these cars. And do you ever remind yourself that you are literally at one with this piece of kit that could throw you anywhere you didn't want to go?
Yeah, I think because of the experience, especially at the sharp end, us guys have got now, it kind of becomes a bit second nature. It's kind of, that car. I mean, that car I've driven, I love that car. But it's like putting on a pair of gloves or putting on a pair of shoes, really. So,
But there's nothing fake to help you there, is there? There's no electronics in it. There's no slicks. There's no wings. It is literally you in control of that thing, but it will bite you if you give it even the slightest chance.
Yeah, it will, and it's all about using that experience you've got to adapt on that day at that time. If I'm completely honest,
Yeah.
And that is what it's all about. Qualifying sessions before have been a bit damp to go out, and it's drying, so it's about not using it all at the beginning and keeping an eye on the traffic around you and try and find some clear space and then get the laps in at the end. So it's all of these factors come into it, and I think it's just the more you do it, the more you take on board and become aware, and the easier it becomes in some circumstances. But it's never easy. There's always a challenge. There's always something will bite you, and you might get it wrong, and it's just just doing the best you can.
Well, the other thing I noticed from going out it as well, those wing mirrors. Now, I'm sure they're better in your cars than they are in racing school cars.
Yeah, probably.
But they're verging on useless. I mean, they vibrate, they're small, everything like that. And yet you guys could be going 3 wide up Avon Rise. And this is not a cocoon. You are single seaters with those wheels projected. I mean, how does that feel going up Avon Rise that close to each other?
Well, you hope the brakes work for a start.
Yeah.
It's about it's about having trust in the people you race with as well, I think. And that's you take Luke for example. I've been racing Luke for many years, and you do have that trust and respect for the other driver.
Yeah.
Some more, some more than others. When you go to trophy events at the end of the season and things, and you don't know someone, you don't know what they could do, or then you do get a few out there that you don't have that trust with, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And you do give them a wider berth, and you wouldn't go 3 abreast and things, but there's times where if the track's wide enough and you're going for it, and that everyone's there for the same goal, but then not, they don't want no accidents, they don't want no fisticuffs at the end of it, and it's part of the show, isn't it? Part of the.
Oh yes, I'm all about the show as well, mate. When I'm on the mic as well, I absolutely adore it, and it's just so entertaining. Let's go a slightly different direction. The Fisher Racing Dynasty. I mean, and I've got to call it that because it is quite incredible. Obviously, you've now got the 3 on the bounce. I've got a mental block now. Josh has got 2.
He's got 3.
He has got 3, but you've beat. That's why I paused, because in my head I was like, I'm sure it's 3, but his wasn't on the bounce, was it? So yours is better.
Absolutely.
But you've now got to get the 4th, mate, so that you accelerate ahead even more. So that's the big one. And your dad, what did he win championship-wise again?
Yeah, so 3, which was the Special GT Championships back in the day. So 3 Special GT championships, 2 in the 80s and 1 in the sort of like mid-90s.
I mean, that is incredible, isn't it? So all 3 of you have got 3 championships.
Yeah.
I mean, did that play on your emotions when you got that championship at the end of the season as well?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I had to get the first one first because and like you say, so sadly,
you were emotional for that one, weren't you, as well?
Yeah, because that was a big, that was a big thing, because Dad's sadly no longer with us. But I said one day I will do it, I will win it, And I think it's probably about 5 years after I'd said it actually came true. But I didn't give up, and I kept going. So, you know, and I did do it. And then another 2 have come along straight after, really. So and then, like you say, the first was great, and the second, we just went into the season thinking, we've done it, we're champions, let's go and enjoy it. And I remember I won the first 4 races that year, and it was like, crikey, I'm committed now. I've got to keep going, like, you know. And then this year you look at it and you think, this is going to be tough, and you think, well, we'll just roll with it. And then, like you say, you get to about 3 races to go, and you're leading it again, knowing that your dad and your brother have got 3 championships apiece. And then you think, you know, oh my God, like this is stressful. So yeah, it was, I must admit, I was, you know, yeah, there was a few tears in my eyes as I was on the in-lap, put it that way. Yeah.
I can believe it. I can believe it. The last thing you want is a commentator making a big deal of that as well. But, you know, hey, that's my job, mate. It's my job. I love it. You know I do. But let's take you back to little Felix Fisher. Now, obviously, your dad was already racing, so presumably you were at the circuit with him when he was racing, and that's where your affection for it came from.
Yeah, we spent, you know, a lot of bank holiday Mondays and weekends and things coming up to Combe. So like you say, when he was in the special GT series, so yeah, we, you know, a lot of the childhood was you know, from my early date, I would have been about 3, I think.
Wow.
Because Josh is 3 years older, so yeah, Josh was around 6, and probably had sort of 3 years ish of up to Combe until I was about 6, and then that's when sort of Dad packed his bit in, and then we started go-karts when I was about 7 and Josh was 9, and you know, ever since yeah, I think it was, I can't remember when I got my first go-kart. I think it was 1996, I think.
Wow.
I've not been out the seat since, so that's 30 years.
And did he actually coach you as well in those early days, or was it more just sort of give you the ability to go and drive?
Yeah, no, like you say, a lot of it is down, you know, he was, you know, yeah, to start with, you have a go to see if you think you like it and enjoy it, but
yep,
you know, you get the bug and you do start racing sort of competitively, and yeah, a lot, you know, all my racecraft up to around sort of the age of 15 was from Dad, really, you know, like it was a family thing.
Wow.
And then it doesn't stop then when you get, you know, Josh had moved into cars before I had, so you know, I then moved into single seaters, and it just started again, and you know, so yeah, a lot of it is a lot of my experience is all been within the family, really, just passed down from Dad and Josh, if I'm honest.
Love it. And what I love about Castle Combe, I think both of us, you could cut in half and we'd bleed Castle Combe. Myself, obviously, from the other side of the fence, having started watching there when I was 5 years old with my dad. So the other side of the fence, but a similar journey type thing, is that it's that family, isn't it? Is that everybody is just such a tight knit community. Marshals, spectators within that paddock and everything, and it just grabs you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's fun. I still see some faces now and then, you know, that I would see when I was sort of 5, 6, 7 years old, you know, and then I wouldn't have seen them for 25 years or more, and then they rear their head and you look and you're like, oh my God, you know, and you start having a chat and things, and you know, you talk about the old times, and yeah, like you say, I do still see quite a few characters around the place. So
it does. It just evolves. I still say my biggest honour was when David George's widow asked me to speak at his funeral, and you're going, that's the voice that got me hooked on motorsport, commentating, and I got to work under him for a little while, and it's just such this wonderful community, and the Fisher name is so synonymous with everything Castle Combe, and you know, it's a big deal, and I really love that, and I love that you're through. Talking of which, what's the future? And I'm not going to ask you because I know I've asked you in the past, and you never know at this point of the year, to be honest with you. But in terms of, I mean, the future generations from both you and Josh, what are we looking at there in terms of racing? Do we expect to see future racing Fishers coming along?
I mean, Josh's oldest son is 11 now, and he's been karting since he was about 6. So
Wow.
he's already in the mix. My son's only he's not 3 till February, so
Bit early then.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
He wants to be Spider-Man at the moment, so I'll have to yeah.
Hey, listen, I've always had a rule: always be yourself, unless you can be Batman. If you can be Batman, be him. So that's, I get that.
yeah. So, but yeah, we'll see. But Josh's eldest is certainly got the bug, and they're doing the karting thing and whatnot. So you never know. He's 11, so give him another 6 years. There might be you might see another one on the grid. Maybe.
Love it. And that will be such a cool thing. And I'll make a big story out of that one as well, mate. That would be so cool. That would be so cool. Listen, again, massive congratulations. Well done. As you say, it was a long, hard season of 14 races. And you came out on top again. And it's so good to sort of get that feeling that it felt not just as good, but probably even better for this hat trick.
Yeah. Like you say, if especially in the family, them having 3, to then go and match that was I don't think there's many families that have there's been a lot of racing families at Combe, and they've won championships, and they've done great things, and but I don't think there's many that have probably got 9 championships within one family. So yeah. Hopefully, maybe it's a record,
I just love it. It is so cool. I'm going to be sort of trying to encourage that both you and Josh back next year to work out who's going to be the first to hit 4. But that's let's wait until the new year to see whether we can enjoy that at Castle Combe. But Felix Fisher, thank you so much for joining us, mate, and congratulations on the hat trick.
Yeah, no worries at all. No, thank you, and everyone have a good Christmas holidays.
Yeah, we get to have a break for a little bit, don't we?
There we go. Yeah, the Formula One's finished now, and we get a little break before we go again.
We do. All right, mate. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining for this recording. And we might not have caught up with him live, but it was so good to catch up with him. Cheers, mate.
No worries. Cheers.
Well, there we go. Thank you very much to Felix for allowing us to record that last week. It was great to catch up with him, and so wonderful to hear about that family. 9 championships in the family. And are we going to see one of them try and go for that 4th next year? I hope so. That's really exciting. Just quickly to catch up before we round this show up. What did I miss? Jake Alden was still taking grief. Lottie Alden says, "My little baby brother, I love you so much. Pookie Wookie." I wonder if I'll get away with calling him that on commentary, but I don't know. We'll see. And actually, she says that she's still here, baby, supporting from Nigeria. So there you go. Louis, one of his plumbing mates, says part-time plumber, full-time champion, top guy, well in pal. So he's taken some grief. Medic Mason, evening, Chris. Just want to say Merry Christmas and a happy and safe New Year to everyone from all of us in the medical centre. And thank you to the whole medical centre for everything that you've done all year, mate. And you know that I love you and Emma to pieces, and keep up the great work, mate. Much appreciated. Kat Delocco, our very own Kat, that is just an absolute treasure running this whole thing and keeping it ticking along. Don't forget that she's reminded me, Media Day, 5th of April. And from 6th of January, Rev Up will open and allow you to register for that. And I think that was the thing that's saying for members, the track price is still the same. Get there. We're going to be looking to be going live throughout the day, interviewing and catching up with people to really promote you, your sponsors, your ambitions for the year. You get to go out and test your car, all of that sort of stuff. And it's just a great starting pistol, isn't it, for the Castle Combe Championship. Kat has also said that all draft regs will be emailed Friday this week at the latest. So Friday this week at the latest, the draft regulations will be emailed out to everybody on that thing. So be great to see. Joshy says, love you too. Joshy, hey, you know you're my number one, Joshy. Your mum and your dad, they come second and third, mate. But, you know, I've got to keep them happy. Do you know what I mean? Have a good Christmas, Joshy. I hope that Santa's going to be happy with you and that you're going to get everything you want this Christmas. And I say that to everybody. Genuinely, I hope you've had a wonderful time. Kat Delocco says to you all, thanks for the memories from 2024, everyone. It's been unforgettable. It really, really has. And I genuinely hope that 2025 is going to be just as good for you all. I cannot wait. I'm fully booked up now for my commentary season next year. Thankfully, that does include all of the events. I shall be at Castle Combe because I wouldn't want to miss any of them. But from all of us on Combe TV, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll be back in January, and I'm hopeful that we will get Helen McGee on with a bit of luck, who's taken over from Mr. Beard, and hopefully we'll get Richard Beard on as well. I think that's the plan for January show. But stay tuned and make sure that you hit that going and remind and everything, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube and on my LinkedIn page. But it is an absolute pleasure. So have a fabulous Christmas and a happy New Year, and I'll see you on the flip side. Night all.
Becoming a racing driver has never been easier with Castle Combe Circuit. Book your ARDS Novice Drivers Training course at the Wiltshire venue today. The easiest and quickest way into competitive on-track action.
Welcome to Castle Combe. My name's Alan Cooper. I'm the Chief Driving Racing Instructor here at this circuit. We're here today to do the Novice Driver Training course, often known as the ARDS course, which is the first way to start off and get your racing driving licence. So, no further ado, let's get on and show you what's involved.
So you've seen the format. Everyone here today passed their tests and now have their racing licence. Who knows? The next time I see them could be as I commentate on them in front of the usual packed house of racing fans here at Castle Combe Circuit. All you need to do to be next is to visit castlecombecircuit.co.uk and select Become a Racing Driver under the Racing tab. Becoming a racing driver is easier than you think with Castle Combe Circuit and Motorsport UK.